A lot of these protests, but I haven't been hit where I might seriously lose part of my body.
Blasted by fireworks and outnumbered by rioters. New tonight, a Seattle police officer tells KOMO he's tired and angry after being injured in a riot in Seattle's SoDo neighborhood on Sunday night.
But that officer says the one thing that's become more difficult to handle than a riot is the political climate in Seattle.
He spoke to KOMO's Tammy Mutasa tonight. Tammy's live with his message for the rioters and city leaders. Tammy?
Preston, tonight Officer Adam Fowler told me he has this daunting feeling like officers have no support at all from the city. He says every night he sees peaceful protesters out and about. He supports that, but he says the violence and destruction is unacceptable.
And my first initial thought was that I'm going to lose my left eye.
When Officer Adam Fowler was blasted in the eye with explosives, for a moment, he lost his vision. He thought he would lose everything.
I've been in a lot of these protests, but I haven't been hit where I might seriously lose part of my body. Something that might affect my ability to do my job, to effectively take care of my family, and it's really hard.
This is the bike patrol officer's body cam video showing fireworks detonating around him during confrontations with rioters near the Seattle Police Union building. The 34-year-old was one of 6 officers hurt.
I feel pretty upset, sad. I think there's a lot of emotions that I haven't been able to digest.
Officer Fowler has been on the force for 5 years. He says he moved to Seattle from Colorado, where he was a police officer, knowing SPD was under the consent decree for police reform. He supports peaceful protests. As for the rioters,
they want to harm us, harm businesses, harm things in Seattle, and then quickly try to turn the story on us like we have created something bad when they're going out and seeking us out every night.
He says even then, he can handle riots. But what's weighing on him more is the looming defunding and political climate with the city council.
Morale is not super great right now. It's pretty low, and a lot of people feel the same way that I feel and very, very frustrated, and people want to be appreciated.
Absolutely. Attorney General Bob Ferguson says that suit's being filed probably any minute now. 13 other states have joined him in this lawsuit, which actually has 3 people that they are naming in the suit: the Postmaster General, the U.S. Postal Service, and the Trump administration. This lawsuit accuses the Postal Service of illegally making changes to the postal system without following proper procedures and processes, that the Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, implemented these drastic changes unlawfully. So this lawsuit wants these disruptions stopped immediately. General Ferguson said that 3 of Washington's 5 distribution centers, which are in Tacoma, Yakima, and Wenatchee, are closed. Not only does this potentially impact the upcoming mailing of ballots for November's election, but Ferguson said his office has received complaints from people about primary ballots and other mail being delayed as well. Seniors and veterans not getting prescriptions by mail, Social Security, or other benefits in a timely fashion in what he says they deserve and should be getting. Nationwide, the attorneys general say that the Postal Service is removing roughly 10% of all sorting machines. So that's processing about 21 million pieces of mail every single hour. That, they say, is being removed from the system. Pennsylvania's Attorney General Josh Shapiro is filing a separate lawsuit with another coalition of states. General Shapiro said that President Trump's goal is to make the American people feel powerless. That's what his suit is alleging. The lawsuits are being filed today. None of the attorneys general involved, by the way, are Republican. And this is not the only action that's happening today in terms of the Postal Service and what's happening just right here in Washington. 2 of our state's Democratic representatives are meeting with postal employees in Everett at 3:30 this afternoon. Today has also been named a National Day of Action, Molly, and this means that there are a number of rallies being held around the Postal Service trying to support postal workers nationwide today.
All right, Denise, thank you. We'll also be hearing from the head of the Postal Service earlier than anticipated. A Senate committee will question the Postmaster General here on Capitol Hill this Friday, according to the Washington Post. It will be Louis DeJoy's first chance to publicly answer questions about the mail service and his recent changes amid these mail delays. DeJoy is scheduled to testify to a House committee next week.
We're not coming to any conclusions yet.
This week, the Renton Prep Christian School opened its doors to in-school learning. They say because they're a small school, only 140 students, they have the agility to do this and keep kids and staff safe. They say half the kids, 70 of them, are choosing to stay home and study full-time online. The other 70 are now on campus, which they say makes it easier to keep everyone socially distant. They say they're honoring the governor's guidelines on temperature checks, masks, social distancing, and outdoor learning whenever possible. Just not the call to delay in-school learning.
The governor and the health officer for King County have said they don't recommend on-site, but you're going to go on-site anyway. Why is that?
I agree with this statement because the fact that there are so many challenges for large school districts to be able to implement all these health codes and distancing is very prohibitive, including busing. I'm not a proponent of one who says that all schools should stay open or all schools should close, but it's very dependent on the site specific. And so I'm appreciative that we have an opportunity as long as health codes can be met, but we're ready to pivot to 100% remote at any point.
That's if they get an outbreak and need to take emergency measures. Other independent schools, including Charles Wright Academy and Annie Wright schools in Tacoma, had planned hybrid openings with some in-school learning, but have since changed their minds after the Pierce County Health Director mandated no in-school learning yet.
When looking into the face of an Asian giant hornet, most people wouldn't respond like this.
That's really good news.
But when you're the managing entomologist with the Department of Agriculture, it means another step in getting rid of these so-called murder hornets before they can inflict major damage on our bee population.
We do not want any more of our beekeepers suffering losses if at all possible.
So when a male Asian giant hornet was found in a trap in Custer at the end of July and analyzed by the department on August 13th, they were pleased because now they're hoping to set up traps that will keep the insects alive.
It just means we have another tool we can draw on.
And that's important. They're expecting to find more hornets in August and September, and if they can trap one still alive, they can tag it and track it back to a nest.
Once a nest is located, we'll go ahead and we'll implement our eradication strategy.
And that's because these guys love to eat honeybees. In order to protect these pollinators, they want to make sure the hornets are gone before October, when queens generally reproduce. It's why over 1,800 traps have been set up all over Puget Sound, mainly in places like Whatcom County, where 3 hornets have already been found. Their biggest fear is not finding all the nests.
We start to worry that they're starting to produce breeding cast, and then we have a very limited amount of time to locate the nest and stop them from kicking out new colonies for the next season.
In Seattle, Nick Popham, KOMO.